Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't come here to entertain you. I came to shake something loose in your spirit. Somebody in this room has been fighting silent battles. You've been encouraging everybody else, praying for everybody else, showing up for everybody else. But when the lights go out, when you're all alone, you've been wondering, do I have what it takes? Or have I missed my moment? But God sent me here today not just to motivate you, but to remind you of who you are. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to this by mistake. Heaven orchestrated this moment because it's time for you to stop shrinking, stop settling, stop second-guessing your worth. There is power inside of you. There is purpose in your pain. And there is a future with your name on it, but you won't get there on talent alone. You won't get there by wishing and waiting. You got to believe, even when it looks crazy, even when they don't clap for you, even when the door closes in your face, you've got to look in the mirror and say, I still believe. And then here it is, you got to stay consistent, not perfect, not popular, just consistent. This ain't about feelings, it's about faith. So buckle up, because for the next few moments, I'm not just going to preach to your ears. I'm going to speak to your destiny. Let's go. You know, it amazes me how many people are waiting on a miracle, waiting on a breakthrough, waiting on doors to open, but they don't even believe they're worthy of the blessing. And you can't receive what you don't believe. You can't walk into a future you keep talking yourself out of. You can't carry destiny if you keep dropping it at the altar of doubt. See, before God can give it to you, you've got to believe that he can do it through you. I'm talking to somebody right now who's been second guessing their value. You've been looking around, measuring yourself by what other people are doing, comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. And every time you get ready to move forward, that little voice in your head starts whispering, you're not smart enough. You're not ready. Who do you think you are? But let me tell you something. That voice was trained by trauma, shaped by shame, and fed by fear. That voice is not your future talking. That voice is your past trying to keep you stuck. Belief is the birthplace of breakthrough. That's where everything starts. Not with connections, not with credentials, but with conviction. You've got to be so convinced about what's inside of you that even when nobody else claps, you still show up like you know you belong in the room. Even when they say you're too late, you walk in like you were made for this moment because you were. And belief isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You choose it, you fight for it, you protect it. Because life will try to beat it out of you. Life will hand you disappointment, delay, betrayal. And if you're not careful, you'll let those things redefine who you are. But let me tell you, just because life hits you hard doesn't mean you've lost your worth. The value of the vessel doesn't change just because it's been through the storm. That dream you're carrying, that vision you've been sitting on, that business idea, that ministry, that book, that calling, whatever it is, it's real. And just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to. Some things take time. Some things are growing in the dark. But if you don't believe in it, you'll kill it before it has a chance to live. There are people in this room who are pregnant with purpose but living like they're barren, not because they don't have the potential, but because they've let discouragement become their identity. But I came to speak life into your belief again, to tell you that God doesn't give vision without provision, that if he showed it to you, he'll strengthen you to walk it out, that if he placed it in your spirit, it's not a fantasy. So stop apologizing for believing in something greater. Stop hiding your gift to make other people comfortable. Stop waiting for everyone to agree before you step out. Let me help you. They may never agree, and that's okay, because you don't need a crowd. You need a conviction. Belief is not about having all the answers. It's about having the audacity to take the first step without knowing where it's going to lead. Every great move of God started with someone who just believed. They weren't perfect. They weren't the most talented, but they were bold enough to say, I might not see it yet, but I know it's mine. You've got to believe like that. Speak over yourself like that. Walk into rooms like that. Wake up every morning like that. Even when you're scared, even when you're tired, even when nothing around you looks like what God promised, still believe. Because the truth is, nobody can want it for you more than you want it for yourself. You've got to believe enough to move. Believe enough to try again. Believe enough to silence the doubt and step out anyway. And hear me, belief doesn't stop the storm, but it gives you the strength to walk through it. Belief won't remove every obstacle, but it'll give you the tenacity to climb anyway. When you believe in yourself, you align yourself with the very thing God has already said about you. You stop fighting your identity and start walking in it. So today I dare you to believe again. I dare you to believe bigger. I dare you to believe when it doesn't make sense. I dare you to believe when the odds are stacked against you. Because belief isn't just about faith in what could be, it's about faith in who you already are. That's where breakthrough begins. You see, we live in a world that celebrates the big moments, the spotlight, the stage, the applause. But what we don't often talk about is what happens behind the scenes. The real power is not in what people see. The real power is in what you do when nobody's looking. It's not in the moment you get the opportunity. It's in how you showed up for years when nobody gave you one. Consistency is where character is built. Consistency is where the anointing grows. And if you're ever going to become what God showed you in that vision, you're going to have to stay consistent long enough to see it come to pass. Everybody wants results. Everybody wants the reward, but not everybody wants to put in the repetition. And what I've learned is that destiny doesn't respond to emotion, it responds to discipline. You don't get to the next level because you feel inspired. You kept working the vision when you were tired. You kept pushing forward when it looked like nothing was changing. You kept praying, you kept planning, you kept showing up, and that's what moved heaven. The enemy doesn't really mind if you start. He just hopes you'll quit. He knows most people can get excited for a week or two. Most people can post about it, talk about it, dream about it. But when the novelty wears off, when the process gets boring, when the results don't come fast, they walk away. That's why the enemy didn't attack you on day 1. He waits until day 47, day 89, year 2. He waits until you're worn down and wondering if it's worth it. But that's when you've got to make a decision to stay in it, to remain planted, even when the ground looks dry. Because the roots are still growing, even when you can't see the fruit. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't even have to move the fastest. You just have to not stop. Keep showing up. Keep writing the song. Keep building the business. Keep working on yourself. Keep praying over your family. Keep speaking the word over your life. Keep sowing even when it looks like nothing is coming back, because in due season, not your season, but due season, you will reap if you faint not. There are some things that only come through consistency. The breakthrough you're waiting for, it's on the other side of your obedience. That level of peace, that level of wisdom, that level of influence, it's not hiding from you, it's waiting for you on the other side of your endurance. You think you need a new plan, but what you really need is a new level of perseverance. You've already got the gift. Now you've got to develop the grind. I know it's not always exciting. I know it doesn't always feel spiritual. I know there are days you'll wake up and question if it's working. But hear me, it's working even when you can't feel it. Faithfulness builds momentum. Faithfulness creates alignment, and sometimes God will delay the result just to see if you're still committed without it. Because anybody can shout when the harvest comes in, but can you stay faithful when the ground looks empty? You're not building for likes. You're not pushing for approval. You're not showing up for applause. You're doing it because you know what God placed inside of you. And when you stay consistent, even in dry places, even in silent seasons, you position yourself to be trusted with more. The promise wasn't just that you'd be blessed. The promise was that if you were faithful over a few things, he would make you ruler over many. So Don't despise the small steps. Don't look down on the early mornings and the late nights. Don't underestimate the power of showing up when nobody knows your name yet, because greatness is not in the moment, it's in the making. And consistency is the tool God uses to shape you into someone who can handle the weight of the blessing when it arrives. You've been waiting on the mountain to move, but what if the mountain is waiting on you to keep climbing? What if the very thing you're praying for is already in motion, but God is watching to see if you'll keep walking until it meets you? Sometimes you don't see the result because God is checking your rhythm. Do you show up when it's not convenient? Do you stay committed when the applause fades? Do you trust him when nothing's moving? Consistency is not glamorous, but it's powerful. It's not loud, but it's effective. It's not always celebrated, but it's always rewarded. And when you stay consistent, you won't have to chase the blessing. The blessing will start chasing you. You know what I've come to understand? Most people misinterpret the presence of pressure. They think that because things are hard, it means they're off track. Because they're facing resistance, they assume they must have made a wrong turn. But let me tell you something. Opposition is often confirmation. It's not always the enemy trying to stop you. Sometimes it's heaven showing you that what you're carrying. See, the enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. He's not coming after empty vessels. He's not chasing people who aren't carrying anything. The warfare is evidence that you're on the right track. That dream you've been nurturing, that vision you've been walking out, that calling on your life, that's why the attack has been so heavy. That's why things got harder after you made the decision to grow. That's why the moment you said yes to purpose, all hell seemed to break loose. Because the enemy knows if you ever walk in the fullness of who you are, if you ever realize your value, if you ever stay consistent long enough to build what God gave you, he can stop you. The fight is not over your past. It's over your future. That's what the pressure is about. That's what the delay is about. That's what the betrayal was about. The enemy isn't threatened by where you've been. He's terrified of where you're going. Because he knows if you don't quit, if you don't fold, if you don't let the discouragement swallow your fire, then there's no stopping what God is going to do through you. So instead of being discouraged by the struggle, learn to destroy it. The storm might not be sent to destroy you, it might be sent to shape you. That closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That painful season wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You're being stretched because there's more in you. You're being pressed because there's oil in you. And pressure always comes before promotion. Some of you have been asking, why is it taking so long? Why is it so hard? Why do I feel like I'm under attack? And I came to tell you, it's not because you're failing. It's because you're carrying something that matters. Destiny comes with weight. Anointing comes with pressure. Purpose comes with warfare. But if you let that struggle grow you instead of break you, you'll come out stronger than you went in. The greater the assignment, the greater the resistance. And sometimes the warfare intensifies the moment you're about to cross into a new level. Right at the edge of the breakthrough is often where the pressure gets the worst. That's when the enemy throws everything he has at you because he knows what's on the other side of your perseverance. He knows if you survive this season, if you keep walking through the fire, you're going to come out like gold. But here's the thing, you've got to stop interpreting difficulty as disqualification. Just because it hurts doesn't mean you're out of alignment. Just because it's heavy doesn't mean it's not holy. Some things God will allow you to walk through, not to crush you, but to prove you to yourself, to show you what's really in you. Didn't know you were that strong until the trial came. You didn't know you could endure that much pain and still keep going. But look at you, you're still here. You're still standing. And that's the proof that what's in you is greater than what tried to stop you. Let me talk to that person who's been questioning their calling because things got rough. Let me speak to the one who's been tempted to walk away because the load got heavy.